Well, we also got some important macro numbers on Friday. The IIP looked terrible at minus 4.2. The CPI looked good at 4.38. And of course, we've got some global scares as well. On all these issues, to give us a view of how she's looking at the macros, the biggest banker in the country joins in, Arundhati Bhattacharya, Chairman of State Bank. Good morning, Mrs. Bhattacharya. Thank you very much for joining in after that fairly hectic morning you must have had yesterday at your Pinkathon. How are you looking at the macros? Is it as dreary as minus 4.2 makes it out to be? Or is it better because your credit offtake actually for November is 11.6, much better than previous months?
I have been saying that the credit offtake is creeping up, and that's what is reflected in the numbers that have come in. The macro as such, still needs some good impetus to really start building. I think one area where we should look at very closely is mining. Mining is something that has really got stalled in the country, and it's mining of various things. It's not only coal, but it's also iron ore. Even I'm told things like sand mining has been under ban for the last 3 years. Some of our units are importing sand. So, it's time that we looked at what is actually stopping the mining activity, and we need to get it started off immediately, because as you know, along with mining comes interest in commercial vehicles, road traffic goes up, overall traffic movement improves. So that could be one way of really kickstarting the economy. And I hope that this coal allocation, this coal auctions, that will be one of the biggest triggers, to start the wheels moving faster again.
Ms. Bhattacharya, good morning and thank you for joining in. This IIP contraction of 4.2%, we can argue that it's a one-off, but the fact is that growth is still extremely slow and inflation is falling off as per the RBI's expectations. So given that situation, when do you think the Reserve Bank will go ahead with the first rate cut? Because the market at least is pricing it in, earlier than expected.
And that's a fact, and I think, whether the Reserve Bank goes ahead or not, the markets have a sense of where they want to be. And that is why it is getting priced in. I really cannot tell you what the Reserve Bank will do. That's a call that they need to take. But you can see the market the way they have priced it in, and probably the banks also at some point of time will follow suit. So I think, the markets tend to sort of correct themselves, and we should have faith that they will do so.
Okay. Actually, I have a question in detail, and apologies if I'm springing this up suddenly to you. Is there a ratio, a half a percentage point fall in the bond yields gives you like 600 crores, 700 crores? Is there a formula? How should we look? Just a ballpark gain for banks like you.
See, this ballpark game is difficult to be played now, mainly because, as you know, much of our papers we had shifted into the hold to maturity category, from where it is difficult to take it out in order to book profits. So whatever we have in the available for sale category, the AFS category, from there itself we will be booking some profits. Profits in this respect, I think, are a little further off. That is, we have to wait till April. And thereafter only you will see banks getting in a little more profits from this area. But having said that, definitely, treasury profits are looking up. They are better than they were in the first quarter. Second quarter was also better, and third quarter will be better still.
Okay. Can you throw some more light on this pickup in loan growth, Ms. Bhattacharya? How fast are projects really, taking off? Where are you seeing an improvement in terms of specific sectors, etc.?
At this point of time, projects are still not taking off, in the sense that we are just getting the first trickle of new projects. New projects, once they come in, they need to be vetted, they need to be looked at properly, and it takes a little while for us to commit the funds. And subsequent to our committing the funds, several other banks do it as well. And overall from the banking system for the money to come through takes a little time. Also, as you know, promoters need to get their approvals in place, need to get land in place, and by far most important, they need to have the equity in place. So therefore, project finance uptick will take a little time. The uptick that is coming in now is the regular uptick that happens in a busy season. That is a lot of seasonal kind of requirements, especially in respect of cotton, in respect of rice mills. All of those are kicking in. Other than that, you know, some amount of capacity utilization is happening in respect of those projects where further capacity had been created. But we would like to see much more capacity utilization, and that will only happen when demand picks up. As you can see from the CPI numbers, demand is very, very low. So unless we can somehow get the demand to move again, we will not see the entire stress that is there in all of these sectors. Those stresses will not come down appreciably.
Okay. I do want to come back to the macros, Mrs. Bhattacharya, but just a word on other newsy details. What's the update on your insurance sector delisting or bringing it to the market? Now it's maybe only a few days before even that bill will get passed, and you will perhaps have more investors willing to buy if you chose to divest.
At this point of time, again, these are conversations that we are having with our joint venture partners. As you know, the joint venture partners themselves, they have the right of first refusal. In case they want to dial up, I need to understand that first. If they don't, then also, you know, we have obviously feelers from others who would like to sort of be a part of the whole story. But I have to take a call. At this point, the first right remains with BNP, and we would like them to first let us know what they are thinking. They have been in conversation with us. Obviously, they are quite serious about it. They have been a very good joint venture partner. We have done well alongside of them. So I think, you know, we just need for them to give an opinion. They, of course, want to see the fine print of the bill that finally goes through before they take a call.
So you can come to the market this fiscal or in 12 months?
This fiscal seems to be a little ambitious. I think, you know, it would be somewhere next year. If at all.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, if at all.
Okay. Just one more question from my end. We were talking about, you know, which are the pockets or sectors that you're seeing or noticing a little bit of an uptick in. Are there any rise in the quantum of loans given to the infrastructure sector, to the road sector? Because we are hearing, you know, some sound bites about NHAI increasing their orders for bidding, etc. In that pocket, what is your assessment?
Not in the road sector, no. But of course, in respect of the power sector, where there were a number of stuck projects, some amount of money is being given, though that is still not really over much, because we are still constrained by certain regulations in respect of funding of cost overruns. As you know, RBI has said that anything above 10% would be treated as a restructured asset. So anything beyond 10%, the promoters need to bring on their own, which might be difficult, and as a result, maybe the disbursements are not taking place. So there are issues of this nature. If you ask me where we have received projects from, the two areas where we have received projects are from the area of commercial real estate, and the other one is in the renewable energy sector. These are the sectors where we have received interest and we have received projects. We are still waiting for new projects in the road sector, etc. Those have not yet come to us.
Okay, Mrs. Bhattacharya, actually, the pressing thing for which we had invited you was this 525 rule likely to get applied to existing projects as well. The Reserve Bank was telling us it would have come last weekend itself, and hence this invitation to you today. But can you tell us, what do you want to see in that? Is there a chance that if you apply, some kind of a revamping to the existing infra projects, RBI will also ask you to provide more?
I don't really know what RBI intends. At this point of time, what RBI had allowed was that new projects could be done under the 5/25. Basically, that means that we can look at the loan for these new projects for 80% of the life of the asset, and that these loans could be refinanced at certain intervals. It could be 5 years, it could be 3 years, depending upon when the project risk gets mitigated. Now, what we were requesting the RBI was that, first of all, if we are going to assess the new projects in this light, why not the old projects? What harm have they done by coming in early? And frankly, you know, it is the old projects that need to be looked at, mainly because of the fact that not only had they committed to aggressive repayment schedules, but they have also been subject to a lot of developments in the ecosystem which are not of their own making. And therefore, we should not punish them just because they came in early. So this is something that we have been telling RBI. We have also been requesting RBI that for refinancing purposes, whereas you had been saying that 25% new lenders should come, originally they had asked for 50% new lenders. At that time also we had said that this is not feasible. With 25% also, very few of the projects will be eligible, mainly because, as you know, in India most of the funding has been done by the commercial banks. Also, the commercial banks are not very large in size. As a result, their per bank appetite is also low. And therefore, for each of these projects, you have anything between 15 to 28 banks. Now, with 15 to 28 banks already involved, where would you get those 25% new lenders? We still don't have that many people who have appetite for these bonds in the market. And therefore, you know, what we had said that maybe, you know, we could look at a 3-year schedule or a 5-year schedule by which time you could designate that so many new lenders need to come in, and by which time hopefully, you know, the markets would also deepen. So these are the two things that we have been requesting the regulator. One, of course, is to allow the old projects to also be refinanced on these terms, and the second is not to insist on 25% new lenders. Now, what the RBI will come out with, frankly, I have no idea. But I can only tell you what we have been requesting.
We'll take a rain check from you that you will speak with us as soon as those rules are released, Mrs. Bhattacharya. Just one final question. You know, it was expected at the time of the DISCOM bailout that they will raise tariffs. Most of the DISCOMs, after the first round of raising tariffs, have not raised. Does that worry you? Is there some stop gap? You will stop lending to them? How does this problem get escalated now?
Actually, the government has written to each of the larger players, appointing people as monitoring institutions for these DISCOMs. As you know, we have very little exposure to the DISCOMs, but we do have exposure to 2 or 3 of them, and we have been appointed the monitoring agency for Tangitco, that is the Tamil Nadu DISCOM, and I think we have been appointed monitoring institution for the Himachal DISCOM. Now, in respect of both of these, we are monitoring their activities, and should there be any slip back or any slide back on whatever they had committed, we are required to bring this to the notice of the government immediately, which we will do. But to tell you the truth, the Tamil Nadu DISCOM has really been quite proactive. They had taken a 37% tariff hike in the first year, a 4% tariff hike last year, and this time again they are looking at a 37% tariff hike, of which I am told 15% has already kicked in. So therefore, the Tamil Nadu DISCOM actually is doing very well. They have not slipped back on their commitments. And if you ask me, of the few DISCOMs that we are also keeping track of, for instance, the UP DISCOM, we have a number of generating companies that are supplying to them. None of their receivables are above 60 days. So to that extent, I would think, you know, many of the DISCOMs are actually trying to keep up with whatever they had committed. I would not be able to give you the data in respect of all the DISCOMs. But the few that we are following, they seem to be doing okay.
All right, Ms. Bhattacharya, we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for stopping by and discussing all these issues with us.